Los Angeles, the city of light and loneliness, where dreams burn brighter than the stars, and secrets hide behind every shining face. In this city of restless ambition lived Eric Hayden, a 28-year-old contemporary dance choreographer, known for his hauntingly emotional performances. He wasn't a celebrity, not yet, but those who knew the underground art scene knew his name. He had that rare mix of passion and peace, the kind that made people trust him instantly. Eric's studio was a world of its own. Soft jazz in the background, mirrored walls reflecting hours of discipline, and dancers who moved like poetry under his direction. Among them was Elena Morales, a 25-year-old ballerina with a past she never talked about. To the world, Elena was elegance personified, graceful, disciplined, almost fragile. But Eric saw something else. He saw the storm behind her calm, the kind of pain only artists understand. They were preparing for a charity performance called The Last Curtain. The concept was Elena's, a dance about love, loss, and rebirth. Eric loved the idea instantly. It felt personal, maybe too personal. During rehearsals, their connection deepened. Not romantic, not quite, but something quietly profound. Elena trusted Eric in a way she didn't trust many. She once told him, "You see people like you're trying to save them." He smiled, replying softly, "Maybe I am." Offstage, Eric's life was quiet. He lived in a modest downtown apartment filled with books, candles, and handwritten notes of unfinished choreography. He wasn't rich, but he was content, his world defined by music, movement, and meaning. Every Friday, his sister Maya would visit with homemade food. She teased him about his obsession with perfection, and he teased her about her obsession with online shopping. Everything seemed ordinary, too ordinary. Then, small things began to change. Eric started noticing his studio door, left slightly open when he was sure he'd locked it. His phone would ring once, a private number, then stop. He brushed it off, blaming exhaustion. But then came the messages. Short, anonymous, and unsettling greater than, "You don't know who she really is. She's not the victim you think she is. The past always dances back." At first, Eric laughed. Art circles were full of jealous people. Drama was part of the air they breathed. But one night, as he left rehearsal, he saw a dark car parked across the street. The engine was running, headlights dim. When he turned to look, it slowly rolled away. For the first time, Eric felt fear, a quiet, personal fear that something or someone was watching. He didn't tell Elena. He didn't tell Maya. He didn't tell anyone. The next morning, rehearsals continued. The music played, the mirrors glowed, and the dancers laughed. But the shadows in Eric's world had already started to move. Eric Hayden had been missing for 3 days. At first, nobody noticed. That's how it often begins quietly, like a candle slowly dying in an empty room. His friends thought he was rehearsing late again. His roommate assumed he was staying at a friend's, but when his sister, Melissa, received no reply to her messages, filled with heart emojis and concerned, something inside her sank. Eric wasn't the kind to ignore her. She went to the small dance studio in downtown Portland where Eric taught ballet to children. The studio smelled of resin and sweat. Mirrors cracked slightly at the corners, trophies gathering dust on the shelf. The front desk manager blinked in confusion when Melissa asked, "Has Eric been here?" "No, not since Tuesday," she said. "He didn't call either." "That's strange. He never misses class." Melissa's voice trembled. "Can I check his locker?" Inside, Eric's phone charger, a folded gray sweater, and a half-empty water bottle lay untouched. His dance shoes were gone, but not his bag. The security camera in the hallway showed him leaving that night wearing a denim jacket, headphones around his neck, heading toward the parking lot. After that, nothing. When the police got involved, Detective Laura Bennett took the lead. She was known for her quiet, methodical approach, the kind of investigator who didn't speak until she'd noticed everything. She visited Eric's apartment. His bed was neatly made, the fridge filled with yogurt and apples, a few overdue bills on the counter. But one thing caught her attention, a photograph pinned above his desk. Eric stood in it with another man taller, older, confident. The photo was taken at a theater gala, both dressed in tuxedos. On the back of the picture were 3 words written in black ink. "To New Beginnings, D." Detective Bennett asked, "Melissa, do you know who this man is?" Melissa shook her head. "No, but Eric mentioned someone named Daniel. He said Daniel wanted to help him with a big opportunity in LA. It was the first thread and the only one." Within a day, the police found Eric's car abandoned near Forest Park, an area known for its long hiking trails and misty silence. The car was locked, keys gone. Inside, there was only one item, a single ballet shoe in the passenger seat. Detective Bennett crouched beside the car, rain dripping from her trench coat. "This wasn't random," she murmured. "This was personal." The crime scene unit combed through the woods, finding footprints leading a few meters into the brush, then stopping abruptly, as if the person had disappeared or been carried away. News spread quickly. Local dance instructor missing, police seek leads. The city buzzed with speculation. Students left flowers by the studio door. Melissa appeared on TV, her eyes red and tired, saying, "My brother loved everyone. He just wanted to make people feel something." Detective Bennett's team dug deeper into Eric's messages and calls. There were late-night texts to a number saved as D, then deleted call, logs painstakingly erased. But one voice memo had survived. A shaky recording. Eric's voice whispering, "He's not who he says he is. If anything happens to me, tell them to check the theater basement." The next day, officers searched the closed down Portland City Theater, a century-old building being renovated into a nightclub. And in its basement, behind a stack of rotting props, they found blood on the concrete floor. DNA confirmed it belonged to Eric Hayden. The quiet story of a young dance teacher had turned into something far darker. Detective Bennett stood alone in the basement, the faint sound of dripping water echoing around her. "He trusted the wrong person," she said softly. "Someone who saw beauty and wanted to control it." The case had just begun, and the truth was far from simple. Detective Laura Bennett didn't believe in coincidences, especially not in a city that hid its secrets so well. The more she looked into Eric Hayden's disappearance, the clearer it became that this was no simple missing person case. The photograph, the mysterious D, and the blood in the theater basement all pointed toward something meticulously planned. But why? Why would someone target a young dancer whose life seemed so painfully ordinary? That question kept her awake through long nights in the precinct. Coffee cups piled up beside her files. The corkboard behind her desk was now a collage of clues. Eric's smiling face in the center, surrounded by photos of the studio, the car, and the ominous words, "To New Beginnings, D." Her partner, Detective Sam O'Rourke, leaned over her desk one morning. "You think this Daniel guy's real? Or maybe a fake name?" Laura nodded slowly. "He's real. Eric mentioned him to his sister. The question is, who benefits from his disappearance?" They pulled Eric's financial statements. A few small payments from his dance students, and then one large deposit, $12,000, made just 2 weeks before he vanished. The sender's name? Daniel Cross. A background check revealed. Daniel was a former theater producer, known for his glamorous events, and equally known for his scandals. A decade ago, his company shut down after allegations of exploiting young performers. None of the charges ever stuck. Laura frowned. He went dark for years. And now he's back, preying on a dancer again. They obtained a warrant and visited Daniel's penthouse. The door opened to reveal a man in his 50s, elegant but cold. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Officers," he greeted smoothly. "Is this about that poor dancer?" "Tragic, really." Laura studied him. "You knew Eric Hayden?" "Of course. Talented young man. I was mentoring him for a showcase in Los Angeles." "Mentoring?" Laura raised an eyebrow. "He's missing. His blood was found in the theater basement you used to own." Daniel's expression didn't flinch. "That building's under renovation. I haven't been there in months." Sam stepped forward. "Mind telling us why you wired him 12 grand? Advance payment." "I invest in talent." Laura's voice hardened. "And where were you the night of his disappearance?" Daniel smiled faintly. "Dinner party. Lots of witnesses. You can check." They did. The alibi held on paper. But something about his calm demeanor unsettled Laura. Too perfect. Too rehearsed. Back at the precinct, a new lead arrived. A city worker reported seeing a man matching Eric's description at an abandoned Riverside warehouse a day after he disappeared. The police rushed there, flashlights cutting through the fog. Inside, they found shattered mirrors, costumes and music sheets scattered on the floor. And on one of the walls, written in chalk, were the words, "He promised me a stage." Laura's throat tightened. This wasn't just a crime. This was obsession. DNA results from a glove found nearby confirmed Daniel's fingerprints, but no body. No Eric. The case made national headlines now. Talk shows discussed it. Online forums speculated that Eric had tried to expose Daniel's hidden past and paid the price. Melissa sat in the police station one evening, trembling. "Detective, I know Eric. He wouldn't just disappear. He believed in people, even when he shouldn't." Laura placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We'll find him, Melissa. Dead or alive, he deserves justice." That night, a chilling call came in. A voice, distorted, mechanical, whispered, "You're looking in the wrong place." The show isn't over. The line went dead. The next morning, the police found a second ballet shoe hanging from the city bridge, the same brand Eric used. Tied to it was a note written in elegant handwriting. Encore. The city went silent. Reporters surrounded the precinct. And Laura knew the killer was playing with them. She stood by the river that night, wind cold against her face. "He's not done," she whispered. "He's performing." The hunt for Daniel Cross was about to get darker and more dangerous. 3 weeks after the Encore note was found, the case took a dark, unexpected turn. Detective Laura Bennett was sitting in her car outside the precinct, the radio humming quietly in the background. She hadn't slept properly in days. Her mind replayed every clue, every lead, every haunting image of Eric Hayden smiling from the posters still taped to lampposts around the city. Then the call came. "Detective Bennett, this is Harbor Security. We've got something. You need to come to Pier 9. The words tightened her chest. She started the car. When she arrived, flashing red and blue lights reflected off the dark water. Officers were gathered near a stretch of dock, cordoned off with yellow tape. A fisherman had found a body caught in the net of his small trawler, male, mid-30s, dressed in a torn dance jacket. The air turned heavy. Laura walked closer, her flashlight trembling slightly. The man's face was pale, lifeless, but there was no mistaking it. It was Eric Hayden. His wrists were bound loosely, with stage ribbon, the same kind he used in his performances. On his chest, a small note pinned carefully, "The final act." Laura's eyes stung, but she steadied herself. This wasn't the end. Not yet. The medical examiner confirmed that Eric had been dead for nearly 2 weeks, consistent with when the Encore message appeared. Cause of death: asphyxiation. But there were traces of a rare sedative in his system, the same drug once used by theater crews to calm stage nerves decades ago. The lab found a hair on the ribbon. It was a match for Daniel Cross. That night, the warrant went out. When Laura and her team stormed Daniel's penthouse, they found him in his private rehearsal room, the walls covered with old playbills, photographs, and handwritten scripts. In the center of the room was a single spotlight, shining on an empty chair. Daniel turned slowly, smiling faintly. "I told you, detective," he said softly. "The show must go on." Laura stepped forward. "You killed him," he laughed, a hollow, weary sound. "No, I completed him. He wanted fame. I gave him immortality." The team handcuffed him as he whispered, "They'll remember him now, forever." Months later, the trial began. The prosecution painted Daniel Cross as a manipulative predator, a man who lured young artists with promises of success, only to exploit and destroy them for his own twisted sense of art. Dozens of victims came forward with eerily similar stories: mentorship offers, private rehearsals, coercion, and then silence. When the verdict was read, guilty on all counts, life in prison without parole, the courtroom fell silent. Laura sat quietly in the back, hands folded, tears unspilled. After the sentencing, Melissa walked up to her. "Do you think he suffered?" she asked softly. Laura nodded. Not in pain, maybe. But he knew. The last thing he saw was the truth, and that's more powerful than any spotlight. Eric's funeral drew hundreds: dancers, artists, and people who'd never met him but had followed the story. They brought flowers, candles, and music. Someone played his favorite song, the same one he danced to at the charity rehearsal. As the crowd dispersed, Laura stayed behind, watching the candles flicker against the evening breeze. In her notebook, she wrote one final line: "He danced for beauty, but the world only saw tragedy. Let this be a reminder. Not every stage is safe, and not every spotlight is kind." She closed the book, turned toward the fading sunset, and whispered, "Rest now, Eric. The show is over."